Hello, my name is Vincent Faney. Some of you may know me as the producer, director in the show Vinsanity Unplugged, In Search of Game Changers. Other people know me as a former Marine who enlisted to serve his country during the Vietnam War, while many friends I grew up with were avoiding the draft like a bad case of the clap. Some people remember that my love for the Marine Corps inspired me to be a lifer with high aspirations to eventually become Commandant of the Corps, only to suffer from an unfortunate accident while incurring injuries which forced me out of the Marines and thereby derailing my early life's ambitions. Many people know me as a drug-free strength athlete who at the age of 40 in the sport of powerlifting was nipping at the ankles of 2 world records until a tragic auto accident set the stage to destroy my health. Some people regard me as an eccentric crank who loves to question conventional thought in practically every endeavor in life, which most people merely accept without question. They know I've been compelled to do so because they are aware that I have personally indulged in exhaustive research and self-experimentation in such subjects as nutrition, medical dogma, weight training, micro and macroeconomics, and how I dispute the generally accepted belief that attaining enough personal wealth to become financially secure in this day and age is impossible for the common folk. I call into question the commonly held belief that the system is against us. I also question what is considered to be the status quo of sociology, psychology, ethics, and what constitutes true human intelligence. In addition, I believe that the current thought that our political system is unfixable and that we must simply endure the current state of corruption and incompetence is not only wrong, but this ubiquitous belief has been instrumental with sending our society into a downward spiral of which we may never recover. I have learned that practically many things that are commonly accepted as fact is wrong. Many people know me as the guy who was once embroiled in an ugly lawsuit against my former employer, the United States Postal Service, and that I was grilled by the United States Justice Department as brutally as any interrogator waterboarding a prisoner for useless information, and thereby this injustice caused me to be blackballed from viable employment. A handful of people are aware that I've been homeless 4 times. The first time nearly freezing and starving to death during one brutal winter in Philadelphia, after my stint in the Marine Corps came to an end. Those people close to me know me as a person who is loyal and dedicated friend, even to my own detriment. And during the time when I refused Postal Management's offer of a sweetheart deal if I would promise to throw my coworkers under the bus, or during those times when asked to accompany a friend to a dangerous situation when they needed a backup to be ready for the potential of extreme physical violence. Many people would assume that such experiences would have crushed my spirit and that I'd simply give up on all of my aspirations and be content to go along with the majority of humanity, believing that most dreams are unattainable. Instead, my setbacks convinced me that it is all the more important to redouble my efforts in life when things get rough, as it does for all of us. I learned that failures happen far less frequently whenever we decide the necessity of leaving no stone unturned and pay attention towards ferreting out all the necessary details which are vital for us to employ if we are to have the best chance of enjoying ultimate success in practically any venture. I discovered the necessity of gathering every nuance, every detail of any goal I was pursuing, and when I did, I enjoyed amazing results during those years of weight training and real estate investing and many other ventures. I was also fortunate enough to rub elbows with Navy SEALs, or various members of Special Forces, and a few wealthy relatives. In addition to them, the numerous men and women who created and run Fortune 500 companies. Each of these people have told me the importance of paying attention to every detail involved in any endeavor we pursue, and that this is absolutely vital. And if results are not up to theirs or my expectations, then it is important for us to reevaluate everything, improvise, and then redouble our efforts. This is why Navy SEALs and the creators of Fortune 500 companies have proved to be so successful and are generally so in every endeavor in life they happen to pursue. In fact, I wish I had taken such a detailed approach when I was involved in the earliest stages of my weight training, and from the first day towards the acquisition of wealth, and of course, also the nasty legal situation some of my fellow employees and I were embroiled in. If I had, the performance and strength I had attained by the time I was 40 would have occurred 20 years prior, and I would have been a world champion. By attending to necessary details with regard to investing in real estate, I would have become a multimillionaire by the time I was 40, retired and a dedicated family man and a real positive force in the community, participating in the elimination of homelessness. My 20-year ordeal with the Postal Service and the additional 17 years of struggling afterwards to find viable employment would not have occurred, or at least would have been resolved in the first month, instead of being forced out of work and practically unemployed for 2 years prior to forcing my way back in. My mediocre accomplishments toward charity would also be superior. I would have been far more productive with community building and be able to work in perfect lockstep with various social activists and organizations that do so much to alleviate the suffering of people in the various unfortunate circumstances, especially those organizations that work tirelessly to house the homeless. Despite my not paying attention to necessary details early in the game of life, it is said, better late than never. With regards to my situation with being homeless, if I had known of the various details necessary to pay attention to, I would not have become homeless, and if I had, it would have been more of an adventure rather than a misadventure. Paying attention to various details regarding weight training, though late in the game, still put me in a spot where at the age of 40, I was still nearly attained setting 2 world records without the use of drugs, and at the age where most competitors, even world champions, would be 10 years past their prime. Despite not attending to important details early in my situation with the United States Postal Service, towards the end, when I learned that approaching this problem by every angle possible, I was able to accomplish a large measure of success, of which my union, my co-workers, my friends and family, postal management, and many lawyers, even my own lawyer, told me would be impossible. I even managed to get the attorney for the United States Justice Department to begin offering me deals if I would agree to drop my co-litigants, which I gave him a resounding no. I managed to put some of our nation's senior legislators on alert, where they went from ignoring my pleas to begin bending over backwards to work with me, thereby forcing the Postal Service to bring me back to work, which allowed me to put in enough time in government service to qualify to retire early, with a pension, as meager as it is. My attention to efforts to every detail, and then pursuing a multi-level defense against the very people in high places seeking to destroy my life, leaving me homeless, I pressured these same people, along with the army of lawyers in Washington, D.C., in the end, offering me 6 figures to settle, with my choice to continue working for the Postal Service if I so desired, and anywhere in the U.S. and U.S. territories, on any shift, any craft, and with the right to wear my respirator if I need it. Although, the only fly in the ointment that dissuaded me from accepting the offer was that I would once again have to throw under the bus the widow of one of my co-litigants who died from a lung infection and their 2 children, and the other litigants that had nearly died and were forced out of work. In addition, with this one concession they wanted me to agree to, they demanded that I would never be able to talk about their criminal actions, even as merely a cautionary tale. The final straw that broke the proverbial camel's back was when I inquired if other postal workers from then on would be allowed their legal right to wear a respirator if their doctor prescribed one. I was told no. They would be forced, my co-workers would be forced to endure the same brutal gauntlet that we had been forced to endure. This I would never agree to. Despite these setbacks and the various goals I have cherished and have fallen short of achieving the lofty peaks of success, Most of my close friends and many people in the community are aware that my most valued goal was to be a world-class community builder, putting my all into alleviating the epidemic homeless situation and to engineer various methods of which anyone who desires can attain affordable housing. If I had learned earlier what I know now, I would have, I am convinced, achieved all of these goals, and I would have done so by the time I was 40. However, I have also learned that no man or woman is an island, and regardless of what is possible for anyone to achieve on their own, having in each of our corners a group of extreme friends as with the same values and is dedicated to be all in as a Navy SEAL or those Fortune 500 people such as Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Larry Ellison, Elon Musk, and countless others to achieve these values, all of these goals would be accomplished in a fraction of the time and with greater ease. This last assertion is 100% accurate as attested by my Navy SEAL friends and the creators of those companies that produce great wealth by creating hundreds of thousands of jobs, by creating the products and services which have immensely improved the quality of life around the globe. Despite all that has happened and all that could have been, my fondest goal in life is still to discover ways to help organizations to generate money for their goals of alleviating suffering in the world, or to personally offer products and services to generate income to donate to these amazing organizations. I am so committed to making this happen, I'm willing to throw my only existing home into the ring as a seed to inspire other people that I am all in regarding this goal. I owe very little on this house, and I'm currently engaged with putting my all into paying this property off and then leasing it to an organization that focuses on housing people who would otherwise could not afford housing and who are homeless or in danger of becoming unhoused for half of what the market would allow me to otherwise earn. Something that would certainly have a guy like me on a meager pension to enjoy more comfort. However, instead of more comfort and ease for myself, I would rather do this not just to demonstrate to the communities that I am a trustworthy person to have on their team, but to hopefully inspire other people to do the same, especially those people who possess great wealth, such as our legislators and those captains of industry that many people currently loathe. In addition, I know that the discount I'm offering and the discounts or gifts that others will hopefully offer will allow such organizations to possess more discretionary funding to better serve their communities. Despite the fact that many people believe that by offering my only home as a seed to incite others to do the same is astounding, for me, it is not enough. So, I've decided to offer up the various books I've written. These books were initially inspired by my time during therapy, which I went through as a method to avoid going postal. These are for sale on Amazon. I've authored two books on nutrition. The first one titled Keep It Simple, Stupid. And the other book I authored inspired by many years of research and self-experimentation, which I created to be the codification of so many groundbreaking books and lectures from many of the world's foremost experts. And this is titled An Evolutionary Argument for Keto Adaptation. The insights I offer in this book did not originally follow conventional thought. However, the information I present throughout this book are now considered all the rage and increasingly touted by many experts in the medical community as a viable method to deal with diabetes, obesity, and a myriad other health issues. I also authored various weight training conditioning books, such as Zen and the Art of Resistance Training, and the spin-offs from this revolutionary, groundbreaking 1,400-page manual, along with Insanity Intensity Training. In fact, many of the protocols of mind-body training I present in these books was once considered harebrained, but was actually the reason why I, a person with average genetics, ended up breathing down the necks of some of the world's greatest powerlifters at an age that is usually considered well past a strength athlete's prime. And all this without performance-enhancing drugs. I would be disingenuous if I said that I do not feel a great measure of satisfaction knowing that many of the ideas I had which were once considered crazy or worthless, are currently cited as cutting edge, and all the best trainers in the world currently use many of the protocols I have outlined in these books. I offer a book that I wrote which is titled Mystical Events, Nightmares, Hallucination, Insanity, Transcendence, of my lifelong exploration of the inner space of the mind and such phenomena as hypnosis, self-hypnosis, lucid dreaming, out-of-the-body experiences, and other topics once considered wishful fluff, has now been given great consideration, even credibility, by many of the world's leading neurologists, transpersonal psychologists, and even some quantum physicists. Finally, I believe the most important book I offered, which is titled Extreme Friendship, which I outlined the optimal protocols of ultimate friendship and a philosophy ascribed to by Navy SEALs or Fortune 500 companies. This book has been heavily inspired by all of my real-life experiences that I have written about in many books, especially the book I wrote titled A Postal Story, or otherwise known as a Postal Disservice Story. Outlining over 20 years of working for the United States Postal Service and the subsequent lawsuit I endured, which ended up with me filing on my own an en banc petition to the Ninth Circuit Court, and then filing 3 times a writ of certiorari petitions to the Supreme Court of the United States. As bad as my experience with the Postal Service was, it did prove to be my Gom Jabbar, testing the strength of my resolve, far more trying than Marine Corps boot camp or the winter when I was homeless and nearly froze and starved to death. This brutally painful experience cemented within me the simple fact that all of us need to become extreme friends and surround ourselves with such people, indeed, to build a community of such people. If we are ever to have any hope of salvaging the freedoms we are losing and the quality of life we could be enjoying, these are the tenets we must follow. As I said, I am definitely all in regarding my desire to contribute to our communities. The books, the t-shirts, and the training DVDs I offer for sale, the proceeds will go towards acquiring affordable housing for the homeless, disabled veterans, and the growing tsunami of elderly that are finding themselves pushed out of the homes they can no longer afford. In addition, my fellow comedians and my musical friends, or my musician friends, will be putting on shows as fundraisers for various organizations. We will be offering these for sale as well. For those people who want some of the proceeds to go to a charity of their choice, may merely request at the purchase of one of these articles. All said, it is imperative that I mention the biggest, if not the only obstacle that has held me back from attaining my community building goals. The biggest bugaboo I've been hobbled by is the fact that the lawsuit I had endured has proven to be more grueling than the rock Sisyphus eternally rolled up a steep hill. This lawsuit has more than bruised my reputation. I am the only Vincent Feeney in the United States, and so many people have Googled my name and discovered that I and a few of my co-workers have been involved in a lawsuit, and of course, most people tend to think of the worst. Because of this incident, over the years, I would learn that some people within the community thought I was untrustworthy. Some of these people worked for or ran nonprofits, discovered my prior lawsuit, and decided to dismiss my offer to perform fundraisers for them. More than a few times, I spent a lot of time and money on a fundraiser only to have the contact person of an organization that I was fundraising for fail to validate with the media outlets that I was legit and working on their behalf. The scuttlebutt in the community was that some of these contacts had second thoughts while I was involved with the fundraiser because he or she had Googled my name. This is the reason why I will no longer offer my fundraising services until I reestablish my reputation. This is the main reason why I wrote the book, A Postal Service Story, to give my coworkers on my side of the story to offer all the facts of the social dysfunction that is ubiquitous within the postal subculture I have been thrown into. The reality of this situation will make the fundraising to pay off my house and lease it to an organization that houses people a very daunting task. Because of my situation, all my friends are pretty certain that my past will keep me from achieving this goal. I can't blame them because it has so far. Now, in fact, trying to do so has cost me a lot of time and money. So, to demonstrate that my commitment to the community building as I clear my reputation as paramount, I will engage in a fundraiser of which I will endeavor to beat 2 of David Blaine's endurance records. David Blaine has fasted for 44 days. And on another occasion, he's allowed himself to be buried alive for 7 days. I intend to break both of his records. I had originally planned on performing a 21-day fast, with the first 13 days locked in an enclosure, locked with the security seal in an enclosure while fasting and training each of the 13 days. And then I was going to submit to being locked with the security seal in a sensory deprivation tank for 8 days as I continued fasting. I now have decided to submit to being locked in a sensory deprivation tank for a total of 32 days as I continue to fast. The tank will be devoid of light, sound, and any method of keeping track of time. Nor will I have any access to the outside world, aside from clicking on a light to alert my security team that I am tapping out, if I feel that I need to. Otherwise, my security team will not unlock the tank until the 45th day of my fast. On the day that I'm locked into the enclosure and then locked into the tank, I will have some people from newspapers and other media outlets to document all this, as I will when I tap out. The entire event will be on the live streaming video the entire time to push aside any suspicion of cheating. I would be lying if I said that going 21 days of fasting or longer did not fill me with some concerns, especially the part when I'm locked in a sensory deprivation tank. There are so many risks and dangers. At the very least, I fear that the longer I fast, the more ground I would have lost from my strength training. I hope that whatever loss of strength will prove to be temporary and not permanent. However, all this will be for good causes, and I'm committed to raising money for good causes. During this time, I will be posting a crowd-sharing fundraising page and also offering my books, t-shirts, and training DVDs. Aside from all this, I would like to make a simple request from everyone who views this video. The same request I'm making of my friends, family, and former co-workers. I request that each of you will email my Congressman Peter DeFazio to publicly share the fact that my co-litigants and I came to him after my union grieved Postal Management's decision to break federal laws by denying us our legal right to wear our doctor-prescribed respirators. The fact was, we asked him to intervene because we wanted to avoid litigation. The fact was, we also went to him and we were forced to file an EEO complaint. And then afterwards, when our only choice was to file a lawsuit or die. We asked for him to intervene, which he did not do. But the fact is, we still possess documentation that shows that we and he corresponded on this matter. I would also request that each of you ask Congressman Peter DeFazio to suggest to the Postal Union and the National Postal Management to hire me as a liaison to instruct union officers, postal management, and the rank and file workers preferable and effective methods of communicating and getting along, so that what happened to me may never happen to anyone else working for the United States Postal Service, and hopefully perhaps no other government agency as well. Regardless of what occurs, if this fundraiser is successful or not, I will continue to offer the proceeds from my books to be donated to charities and other good causes, regardless of what area of the globe I choose to reside. Any thoughts or comments you have regarding this video, please post and share. Also, feel free to subscribe, follow, and share. I hope you will note all of the items I have for sale and the many great organizations I promote that are doing a wonderful job to help alleviate suffering. And please note many of the great books that I read. I think you will enjoy these as well. At any rate, I know you will enjoy the musical compositions of my friend Phoenix, a world-class classical rock musician. Thank you for your time.